Good afternoon. It's June 2021. This is Dr. Matthew Dunn, host of The Future of Email Marketing. My guest today is Kevin Snow, founder and chief sales strategist at Time on Target. Hey, Kevin, welcome.
Hey, Matthew, how are you doing today?
No complaints, man. Where am I speaking to you? Where are you?
I am about an hour north of Minneapolis in Minnesota.
Oh, I have a University of Minnesota stamped on my bottom from being born there.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
I like Minnesota, but I don't like your skeeters.
No, well, they're not out yet, but with all the hot weather we've been having lately, they're going to be here soon.
They will show up just as surely as spam in the inbox, right?
Yep, that's for sure.
Fill people in on Time on Target. I had to look up what the definition of the term is, but that doesn't define what the company does.
Yep. So it does. It does in a way. And the originally when I launched Time on Target, I actually launched it as a public speaking training company.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a lot of speaking at the time for an organization I was a member of, but then also companies were starting to bring me in to teach people, specifically their employees, how to network and how to sell and do all that stuff. So I needed a company so they could pay me. So I started Time on Target, and the whole name was about that it's a military reference. I'm in the military as well. And the reference is for artillery. Time on Target is the synchronization of all your fires so they hit a target at the same time.
At the same time.
Right. And I thought, all right, that's kind of a cool name for a company that's designed to help other businesses figure out how to sell more effectively so that all their sales efforts are achieving that goal. And that's really how I kind of got into that name.
Got it. Now you yourself in the services you mentioned, and specifically in the artillery.
I'm not actually artillery, but
Sure.
They have some cool terms. So
they do. We've been throwing stuff at high speed at each other for enough decades to get it to get the specialized terminology. I know from looking at your site and just boning up a bit for our conversation that you guys cover a fair range of services: CRM implementation, email marketing, and I'm going to guess just straight up sales effectiveness. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's really a good assessment of what we do. We started out, I actually did a deployment after I launched Time on Target and was doing some training and doing all that stuff. It was going great. Then I went to the Middle East and I was overseas for a year, and I came back and I had absolutely no clients. I had nothing in my pipeline for speaking gigs, and I really had that, oh shit, now what do I do moment. Mm-hmm. Do I grow up and just go get a job? Do I redo something? Do I start over, do the exact same thing? And I did a huge pivot for the company. Yeah. And instead of me being the product with the speaking and the training, I pivoted into consulting and going into businesses to actually help them rehab or fix sales programs. Okay. And specifically looking at tech firms that were in that second stage startup phase, mm-hmm. where they had revenue, but now they're trying to scale, and helping them, do the right things before they hired their salespeople. Mm-hmm. And so they could onboard them and they could start selling faster. And over the years, the thing I noticed when I was working with all these clients is the one thing that they all didn't do well was sales process. None of them knew how to sell or what their process was, mm-hmm. but then integrating technology. And I'm a geek at heart. So I was like, all right, we kept niching down and started focusing on how do you use sales automation, CRMs effectively, mm-hmm. so that salespeople are selling more and management knows what's going on? How do you use email marketing to help the sales people close business? Mm-hmm. How much time do salespeople spend trying to find a piece of collateral or some content to send to a client? Well, we can automate all that. So it's really helping them figure out those processes and then use the technology correctly. So it all talks right to each other and it's easy for the company to use, but then also helps the salespeople sell more. And that's what we do now.
You mentioned niching down. Like how down do you niche? Are you down to a handful of specific platforms on the technology side that you help implement, or is it process and you're somewhat vendor neutral on the technology?
I used to be really vendor neutral. As like I used to think that was, if you're going to be a consultant, I want to come in and consult and advise, and I would outsource all the actual execution pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And then the business owner in me got smart and said, well, that's dumb. You know how to do all this stuff in these systems. So now I partner with some specific client companies that do really good work that I like and are at the right point of development for the clients I work with.
Yeah.
Salesforce is awesome. Not so much for a small business.
Yeah.
It's just too much to admin. So I use companies like Ontraport, Zoho, Pipedrive, and some other ones in that scale that work really great.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll learn other ones. I'll totally can pick up systems pretty quickly, but it's going to take longer. And I make sure the clients always understand that, hey, it's going to take longer because I got to learn this thing that you're married to.
Right.
Or we can do this new one that works really great and it'll be done in half the time. So.
Well, I mean, there are times that vendors, say they're offering technology vendors say they're offering process in the box, but obviously that's not the case. You wouldn't be in business.
Yep. Yeah. I have my preferred way to sell, and that I'm sure that leaks into when I'm working with clients, but we spend a lot of time on the process side talking to their clients, and both ones who bought and then also ones who said no, and figuring out how they buy, because everyone's going to be a little bit different. And we want to make sure that when we create a process for them, it actually flows right for who they're talking to, not just because it looks really cool on paper and I can implement it really quickly, increasing my profit margins. So we want them to come back in a year and say, oh my God, we're still using this process. It's awesome. We love it.
There you go. Now, do you still work primarily with that sort of the second stage startup that you mentioned?
I still do a lot with them, but I've also, because of the automation piece, I now work with a ton of like coaches and people who are trying to change the business world. And so they're, the entrepreneur one person shop type of business, but they're now at the point where they need automation, they need email, they're doing courses, they're doing webinars, they're, have all this stuff going on. So now I manage their automation for them.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha. That's interesting. Yeah, there are, the coaching is a big business these days. Isn't
it is.
A lot of people doing. Why is that? What do you think?
I think it's gotten to the point where people are, especially at least in business, they understand that they aren't experts at everything, and that there are going to be people out there that know more than them. So, and it's no longer taboo to ask for help. Yeah. It used to be very much like, well, if you ask for help, you're weak. Well, no, that's not how it is in business anymore. Even the CEOs at the highest levels, they have coaches. They still have someone that mentors them, and they talk about, all right, here's what's going on. I think I really screwed this up. What should I have done? Right. They still have the exact same conversations that new business owners do, just at a different scale.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I read, I may have been some coach's pitch for their business once, but they're like, look, Tiger Woods has a coach. Who do you think you are?
Exactly. And it's, and the cool thing is, and when I work with a lot of my clients and we're talking about, how to grow your business, how to develop that bigger, how to scale, I always tell them you need to be surrounded by people that are that step ahead of you. That you can ask questions of, who have already screwed up all the stuff you're about to, and can either stop you from doing it or help you fix it.
Right. Yeah.
And it's, you got to have that board of directors in your world that can tell you the stuff that you don't know, where your blind spots are, so that you aren't just like doing, the 3 steps forward, 2 steps back thing the entire time.
Right. That makes a ton of sense. What's changed from your point of view in terms of sales process in the course of the last year and a half pandemic period?
Well, it's got a lot more virtual. There's a lot more of what we're doing right now. A lot of people are on Zoom, and which is good and it's bad. There are, there's some people who are really awesome at the Zoom thing, and they can do the conversations and manage it just like in-person meetings. But there's a lot of people who can't, and they you can tell when I'm in different meetings, I can know who's all right. So who's also looking at their email, who's also taking notes on doing other stuff, and who's trying to multitask because they're like, oh, well, I'm in another room. They won't know. Yeah, we know. It's pretty obvious when that's what you're doing. So that's a huge change. But for my business, because of what I do, everyone was now trying to figure out their digital footprint.
Right.
And they understood that, all right, so I don't have foot traffic anymore. Now, how do I get my stuff in front of everyone? How do we build an email list? I had so many people coming to me that's like, all right, I need to build an email list now. I'm like, awesome. We talked about this 2 years ago. If you would have started then, we would have been really good position right now to do all this cool stuff. Now we're starting at square one with a bunch of other people, and you're going to have to fight through a ton of noise. So that was the big change, is everyone realizing, oh my God, I got to have digital. No
option. And I don't think any going back, no matter how wide the doors go open now.
I think there's always going to be this hybrid now. And that's really what I push to my clients, is like, hey, it's awesome. Your salespeople are out meeting with clients. You're having that face-to-face. But there's all this stuff that they shouldn't do that we can use to get more content in front of your clients that's going to help them make decisions faster and hit that next stage. And it's just, people are now understanding, it's like, all right, this stuff actually works. How do I use it now, and how do I leverage it so that I can continue to scale, and I have this fallback position, Lord help us if there's another pandemic.
Right. Well, what do you, when you're advising entrepreneurs, I was going to focus in on email a bit specifically, email as part of a sales process, let's say. What do you find to be effective? How do you help them approach that?
So it really depends on the type of business and where the touch points are really important for that decision maker. And understanding, all right, so what type of content do we need right now? So it could be, let's take a roofer. Person comes out and puts shingles on your roof. They come out and meet with you after, the first meeting. They take all the measurements and everything. Well, the first email we would send out for them is hey, thanks for meeting with us today. It was awesome to find out what you got going on and take a look at your house. It's a beautiful house, blah, blah, blah. We'll always include some sort of content on, hey, here's how you pick a roofer.
Right.
Most homeowners don't understand how to look at one roofer and compare it to another roofer. They don't understand what a storm chaser is versus a local, and why they're different and who you should talk to. So we'll give them that type of content. Here's how you make a good decision.
Nice.
And give them all that information. Next step in that sales process could be the proposal. So now the roofer's back. Hey, here's how much it's going to cost. Here's what we're going to use. Let's talk about types of shingles and colors and siding and all that stuff. Our next follow-up for that would be testimonials. Here's a link to our testimonial page. Here's a testimonial from a client down the road from you. So now we're doing the trust thing. We taught them how to pick the right one. We gave them pricing, and now we gave them stuff to help them understand that we are the right one. And then instead of the salesperson doing it all manually, it's all automated based on them finishing off their specific meetings. So
that's where you start taking CRM process and marrying it to methodically designed content.
Exactly.
The job of managing all of that content can be daunting. How do you help your clients through that maze?
So we have some clients who want us to come in and just build out the process and get everything started for them. And then they have some internal marketing people who can manage it, and they're doing their content for them already. And then that's awesome. It's like, sweet, here you go. Other clients are like, hey, can you just do this all? And and just, can you manage this? Because I'm not going to do it. This isn't my thing. I want to be out on the top of a roof looking at shingles. Can you help us? And then we'll do that. For a lot of our clients, we'll actually do the ongoing management and help them. All right, so we have this going. It's running good. We'll work with them on their split testing. How do we tweak it? What's not getting click-throughs? Why not? Adding in more segmenting so that we're sending the right content to different types of clients. So we can be really, if it's hail damage, we can send hail damage information. We can get really specific and then we just keep helping them build out that campaign. So we're getting more and more ideal for what we're sending to that specific client.
Gotcha. Do you go through the process of helping them, persona development, or in some way sort of formulate what they need to know about prospects and customers?
Yeah, if we're doing the full process development for them, where we're actually helping them map out stuff and figure out who we're going to talk to, some of them usually have an idea of it, but they haven't gone the full development route of, all right, here is our persona. It's hail damage Harry, and and all that piece. And for some of them, we need to do that because they don't understand who they sell to, and they're doing the shotgun effect with their marketing. Yeah. So we help them dial it in. Others, especially the ones who already have some marketing support in-house that's doing some stuff for them, or they've been doing some social media ads, they already have a decent idea. So for those, it's more helping them tweak it and figure out, all right, so how do we get more data on them? How do we help you get a better picture so that what you're doing on social media is actually more effective and it's more targeted, and working through all those tech pieces with their existing marketing team.
I see. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Pick Roofing as the as the proxy in this conversation. I had an issue on my roof that I needed to have fixed a couple of years ago. Call the roofing firm. We're too busy, but so-and-so used to work for us. He's gone on his own. He does repairs. My whole interaction with him, which was great, was text and a couple of phone calls. And the tail end of him, patching the piece of the roof, I'm, chatting with him as he's leaving, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just, I'm so busy." He was incredibly busy, but he was so busy he couldn't get on top of his sales and marketing to be more effective and more profitable. It's like the threshold for him was going to be his hours in the day on a roof, period.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs are at. They're bootstrapping their business. They don't have, a $2 million funding inject to be able to hire a bunch of people to do stuff. They're getting done from their work day, getting home, having dinner, playing with the kids, kissing the wife, and then jumping on the computer and saying, all right, now I got to do my bookkeeping. Now I'm going to do marketing. I need to confirm calls for tomorrow. And they're working till midnight. Yeah. And that's the cool thing with email automation and CRMs is you can do a lot of that automated. And you can figure out, all right, so what are the things that are taking up my time that I need to offload? How do we do it with systems? Right. And how do we, I don't need to now confirm. We can automatically send out a text confirmation. Hey, Matthew's going to be at your house tomorrow at 10 a.m. Text or reply yes for you'll be there, or no to reschedule, and we'll send you the link. So there's all that stuff that now they don't have to do. Yeah, which visit out to the house when the guy's not there is a mighty big waste of time and money. Yeah, exactly. Or I have one friend who does paint sales right now, and he gets addresses and they're the wrong address. Oh wow, yeah. So he gets to a house, they're like, no, you actually want to be a street over. He's like, oh, all right. So, those automated tools allow you to confirm all this data and, start the pre-sale piece is huge. Yeah. For efficiency, for profitability, for all of that stuff. It's interesting the way you hooked text into that example. I've had a number of guests on this podcast, talking from the text perspective, and the focus in most of our invites are about email marketing, but there's an overlap between those two things. And it seems to be fairly consistently that text is more what I would call operational. I'm going to be there at 2, operational message. Hey, do you want your roof fixed from the hail? Don't text me that. I don't want to, I don't want to get that from you. I think it's a little generational too. I think you and I are probably in the same generation, Gen X, and we communicate email. That was a cool, hot technology for us. And the habit. Yeah. So we like getting all our stuff that way. My little sisters are millennial. They prefer texting a lot of the times. And I have some clients who do marketing through text. About specific events, and hey, we have this thing going up. Amazon does it for their truck, their discount truck that goes around. Yeah, it's like, hey, this is for sale on the Amazon truck. Click here, find out where it's going to be in your location. I didn't know that. That's interesting. So makes sense too. The goal is for your communications, you need to have multiple channels. Yeah. So that your prospects can pick how they want to communicate with you. Yeah. I love instant chat for my online systems. If you
Yeah.
don't have chat support,
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to hang out with your business for a while because it annoys me to have to email and wait for you to answer. I want to chat with customer support when I'm in the system and I'm working on something and I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
Other people want to do, hey, I'm happy putting in a ticket and get to me when you are at. That's how they like it. Some people want text.
Right.
But the goal is you give them options.
Yeah.
And then they get to communicate how they want and get their speed or resolution that they need. So they're happy.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take what you just said and formulate and sort of paint a picture, though. The consumer of today, B2B, B2C, doesn't matter. They're pretty specific about what they want, and it does create a bar of entry for a business to hit. I mean, the number of systems and skills and facilities and stack of content that you just mentioned, chat, text, email, managing that methodically, ideally single customer record that all those things dot into, not something a roofer necessarily learned how to do.
No, most business owners haven't, and most business owners aren't even salespeople.
Yeah.
They're just really good at a thing, and they're passionate about it.
Yeah.
So they're able to go do it. And that's why I work with a lot of tech firms. I cut my teeth in the sales world selling long distance and data, so T1s, DS1s, high end data. Frame Relay. I was selling the cloud in the 90s before it was actually a thing.
Frame Relay, haven't heard that in years.
So they're really good. Business owners now that are starting these tech firms are really great technologists. They understand all that stuff, but they don't know how to sell.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with a lot of businesses. So, that's where people like me are able to come in and say, all right, so we're going to help you. Okay. We're going to help you put these processes in place. You don't have to feel overwhelmed. It's going to be easy for you. Mm-hmm. If you want us to help on the long term, we'll totally help you on the long term as well. But, that is the benefit of the outsourcing is you can bring in the expert. You don't have to spend your 5 hours at night reading about how to set up a chat bot.
Yeah. Do you find many companies that you say, you know what, no, this isn't going to work for whatever reason?
Yes, some of them are going to start. It's like, well, email doesn't work. I'm like, yes, email works. It has a 400% ROI. It's just nuts. $1 is going to generate you $40 over the lifetime of the email. Yeah. So it's help. A lot of the time it's just education and getting them understanding. It's like, all right, your target market right now are new homeowners, Gen Z, millennials. This is how they communicate. They don't want you telemarketing and calling them up. They want to get a text. They want to get an instant messenger. They want to be on WhatsApp. They're watching TikTok. So how do we do roofing TikTok ads for you? It's really helping them understand who their demographic is now and that it's changed. It's not, I tell one of my clients like this all the time when we're talking about stuff. He's like, well, I won't do it that way. Like, your clients aren't you. Yeah. It's like none of them are remotely like you. Yeah. So stop telling me you don't want to do it. It's what will they do? And he's like, yeah I know. Fine. So, but a lot of them don't understand that. They think everyone's just like them.
Yeah. It's natural bias, I guess, but that's where that external point of view is probably really valuable. How do you yourself and your team? How do you keep up with the channels and the technologies?
So my favorite thing is getting a new client that wants me to do something that I haven't done before in the system, because then I get to learn. I'm like, all right, sweet. We're going to build a shopping cart. All right. I've never done this before. So now I get to do research. My recent step in my business is I brought on copywriters and support people.
Okay.
So that I could stop actually writing the emails and I could really focus on the strategy and the design and all that piece. And then the support person to do hey, this is spelled wrong. Can you go in and change that? So now they can do all that 10 level, entry level type support now that I don't have to. So that gives me more time to do that strategy piece, but then also to learn the cool new stuff so we stay forefront.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not using, all right, funnels are cool. Well, are they really now anymore? What's the cool thing right now that everyone's talking about? And really focusing on the new emerging technology and how we integrate it. And, for example, Apple turning off tracking.
Yeah, funny email. You should mention that. It's been a subject of quite a bit of conversation in the email world in the last couple of days. What do you think?
So my personal opinion is I would rather get ads for things I'm remotely interested in than just seeing random things pop up as ads. I'm like, why are you showing me this? That was how email marketing started, was you just got random email ads for things that you're like, why are you sending me this? My God, stop.
Yeah.
And that's what email is going to go back to if everyone turns off that tracking piece.
Yeah.
But I also understand people is like, well, I don't want you knowing everything I do. Got it. I'm in the military. I know how this tracking thing works. So, but there's ways around it. You have to now get more focused on the conversion. And using that conversion at event to build your audiences. So like I had mentioned Entreport before, that was one of my partners. The day that launched, they actually already had the ability to do that in their system and then feed into the new Facebook system. So all my clients who had been doing the tracking just on visits, we're now able to convert them over in about less than a week. Everyone was converted over to the new system and have all their conversion going on, or all their audience building being based on actual conversion events. So
conversion events being click to site, shopping cart, something like that.
They actually did something where they had to opt in and give us info, and now we're all building our information off of those types of interactions, as opposed to, all right, so Matthew visited this page and we have some information about him based on third-party tracking. Now he visited this page, so we're going to target people that look like Matthew in our system. Now it's people who actually do stuff, and we're able to send that to Facebook and say, all right, we want people like these.
Right.
So in the long run, it should end up being actually your Facebook audiences should be better.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective. I mean, it makes sense, but it's an interesting perspective. Maybe that's a bit of payback for Facebook, for Apple, having hamstrung them in the app world.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a pain right away, because you're everyone I've talked to has seen the cost per click go up on their ads, but they're starting to see the conversion rates better. So as it goes, the things are going to start to even out. You're never going to have the cheap ads we did before, where you could just have huge numbers, but I think you're going to get better results. So it's going to end up paying for itself.
That's a good way to look at it. First party data is going to become much more a vital asset as well. Yeah. And being effective at that capture, that management, that continued growth of the customer record.
Exactly. And that's the huge part. And that was just going through my head. It's like, how do you do the incremental profiling for that contact? So the first one is, I got your first name and your email. Can't do a lot with that. How do I now get you to interact so you give me more stuff? What does that type of polling look like, and how do you do it so people are excited to give you the info? So you can now do your segmenting just with your info, not having to pull in info from data conglomerates.
It's going to, I agree with what you're saying. I do think it's going to push more of the responsibility back to the other party in that first party transaction, to the business themselves, to being systematic about that, or buying or outsourcing the expertise to be systematic at that, because you can't go to an ad network and say, I want to buy everything about this set of people. They won't be able to sell it to you.
Yeah. It's, I had a client a few years ago that's all their business did was take data from multiple data holders and put it all together into a big data set. So people could now pull in all this third party data for their ad campaigns. And like, those businesses are all just like gone, or at least on the Apple side. You can still do it on Android, but I don't think that's going to be far long lived.
There was a strong hint floated at an email marketing strategy call yesterday that Google and Gmail may follow suit with how they handle tracking pixels. You know, for our business, for Campaign Genius, real-time content, we're doing some serious head scratching because the delivery vehicle for pixels is the delivery vehicle for real-time content. So there's things we've done that we won't be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, I guess that's life in the walled garden.
Well, and it's, that's the cool thing about marketing is it's not the same all the time. And we get to look forward and say, all right, so, video MTV, when it came out, the whole idea of video TV was this, oh my God, this is amazing. And, anyone who had ties to that demographic of who was going to watch MTV jumped on it right away. Right. Well, now MTV is more, how many times does MTV morph that, they don't even show videos anymore.
Right. Yeah. And music TV is not music TV.
Exactly. And now we get videos from YouTube. We get videos through other, Spotify is adding the video piece onto their platform now. Yeah. So it's, it's really, that's what's cool about what we do is we get to track all that and figure out, all right, so how do we use this? So how does this fit in? Do I have a client that this would be really cool for, and they could take advantage of the new thing? TikTok, that is huge. The Apple voice thing. I can't think of the name of it right now. The Apple only app where it was all just people talking in a room.
Oh, Clubhouse.
Yeah. That was huge. That came out at just like the perfect time.
Yeah.
Everyone's stuck at home and wanting to interact with people that they couldn't interact with.
Yeah.
So, it's all those little fun things that's cool. It's like, sweet, I have a new toy to play with. How do we do this?
There's a degree of fatigue that I find myself thinking about. Fatigue being people going, I have enough passwords, logons, memberships, identities, addresses, etc. I saw a question on Reddit the other day, and someone was like, I think I'm going to launch a social network around this topic. And I'm like, no, you're not. Right? Because we're all up to here with those things. It takes a lot of firepower or luck for a Clubhouse to break through, and that may have been short-lived media. We'll see. TikTok, great engineering, found a sweet spot, but it's not like you can name off dozens now of things that people will sign up, concentrate on, spend time in, invest themselves in, etc. My response to the guy on Reddit was, social networks are not built around topics; they're built around people, and I've got enough of them. Thank you.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. It's because I've been on all the tertiary fringe social media ones, Clapper and all those MeWe or MeWe, however you pronounce it, and they're okay, but it's there's nothing new about them that makes me like I want to be on here all the time.
All the time, yeah.
And for someone to come into the market with the social media platform that's going to disrupt the market, there has to be something new.
Yeah,
there has to be something cool that people are like, oh my God, I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
And everyone runs to it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is right now.
Yeah. Arguably club. I mean, one answer is it's about the stuff you leave out, right? Snapchat said, we'll leave out the ability to save things. And then they got imitated. Clubhouse said, we'll leave out looking at stuff. It's audio only, and it's live. Okay. That's kind of interesting, but there's only a finite number of those just in terms of how we function as human beings. So I suspect we'll poke down all those alleys, and then we'll have dominance in each of those niches, or maybe duopolies or just a handful of companies, and that'll kind of be that.
Yeah, I think so. There's Clubhouse was awesome when everyone was sitting at home. And it was a way to have conversations and interact without taking up real estate on your screen because you didn't have Zoom open.
Yeah.
Well, now what happens when everyone is back out and about and driving and doing stuff, and you have like real people you can interact with on a regular basis? Are people still going to go to Clubhouse as much?
The new social network. It's called a beer garden.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, to be truthful, after a year and a half of this isolation crap, I can't wait to go to a brewery.
The Minnesota State Fair, you're from here, so huge state fair. They did a kickoff summer event over Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
And it was sold out.
Record numbers, I'm sure.
Record numbers of people. They brought in like their top food vendors. They brought in some people to sell State Ferry stuff. They had a couple other, like the big slide and a few things open, but it was literally just people getting out and being able to eat food on a stick and drink beer and actually interact with people,
with each other. Yeah.
All the tickets sold out, and it was everyone was smiling and happy, and it was awesome.
I was just on a panel discussion about video and email this morning, which I want to chat with you about. But the long running conference, why am I blanking on the name? Festival of Email that Andrew and Nellie Bonner put on. They had a live session, and I think they might have felt, Andrew will have to say, they might have felt they were going a bit out on a limb and having a live segment to open it in Miami. This is the beginning of or end of last week. Sold out instantly.
Yeah.
Like people are like, no, I'm ready to get on a plane and get to Miami. And it wasn't hundreds, because that would have been irresponsible. But the seats that they did have available got snapped up super fast.
Yep. Yeah, we did. One of my clients, we launched in last March a virtual networking organization called Success Champions Networking. And we had originally planned we were going to do a summit event in April. Mm-hmm. That was supposed to be live. It was going to be in Dallas, Fort Worth area, but obviously everything started locking down in March. We're like, well, this is now off. Yeah. We actually still held it in October with a live and a virtual version. So we did a hybrid event. Mm-hmm. We sold out the live event. We had 100 people show up.
Wow!
In a hotel conference room, one of the big ballrooms.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Hell yeah, we're." Granted, this is Texas, but they're like, "Yeah, we're tired of being at home. We're definitely doing this. We're doing the live thing." So
yeah.
It was awesome.
Granted, this is in Texas.
I would not have been able to do that if I held it in Minnesota. People would have. I probably would have had protesters. But Texas, like, let's go do this thing.
Yeah. Well, we'll start restructuring the rules and expectations as we're emerging and balancing the need to reconnect live, the need to be there live. Yeah.
I love Zoom and the virtual thing because now I do not have to drive to meetings. Mm-hmm. Awesome. But there is a lot of positives about the real person to person being able to shake someone's hands and interact and read body language much better.
Yeah. I just had that conversation with my wife last night about the handshake. I said, I think the handshake come back, and she was more on the cautious end. Well, I don't know. It's actually, it's never been great from a healthcare perspective. And I said, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't care. I know something about someone much differently from that moment of contact then I you can't get that on Zoom, and you can't get that from bumping elbows. Sorry.
And we're a tribal species.
Yeah.
We did not grow up as lone humans wandering around. We're always in tribes.
Yeah.
So that interaction and shaking hands and hugging and everything is key to our just our mental psyche.
Yeah.
Let alone our ability to communicate. So
communicate, connect, all that other stuff. Yeah, we are wired to be together, and I think we're all pretty much fed up with not.
yeah, totally. It was funny at the beginning of everything, the memes were coming out, and I'm a high C on the disc profile. So I'm the introvert, leave me alone and I'll recharge, and then I can go out and people more. Mm-hmm. But all the memes are like, all right, introverts, go check on your extrovert friends. They're not doing so well right now.
That is absolutely. And I don't think I've done that profile, but I'm pretty sure I recharge just fine by myself. But my extrovert friends were going bananas.
Yeah, totally. Bananas. I had friends like, all right, so we're going to have a Zoom happy hour. I'm like, a what?
Yeah.
We're going to have a bunch of us jump on Zoom and we're going to drink beer together. Okay.
Yeah.
I can be alone and socialize. Awesome. I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah. And a pallid substitute at best. We try to feel those exhausting in a peculiar way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Okay, it was nice to see everybody, but my head hurts and I'm tired of staring at the little squidgy heads on the screen. And yeah, not the same.
No, totally.
But,
I completely agree. So
yeah. Oh, like well, what you gonna do? We had to adapt. We dodged an artillery shell / bullet. If this had happened even 5 years earlier, the infrastructure for making the rapid shift to digital wasn't ready. We lucked
no,
out. We really lucked out.
yeah, no one was using video or doing any of the digital pieces the way they were.
No.
So, or way they are now. So
No.
yeah, it would not have transitioned well.
Yeah, cloud was just just starting to form on the horizon, so to speak. I mean, I know it's been around for a while, but the maturity levels were such that video, file storage, collaboration, they keep going down the list. You're like, well, we thought it was going to take us 2 years, but we did it in 2 weeks, and guess what? We made it work.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So what next on the horizon for Time on Target? Where are you taking the company?
I want to continue to scale. So, the next step is going to be, full-time employees that are actually working with clients. And I'm not just contracting out the support piece or the copywriting. They're now, full-time and doing stuff. And,
Wow.
and that's going to be the next big step, because I want to be able to focus more on the business development piece.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the scale, I need more revenues, so I need to sell more. Can't do that if I'm doing the cool stuff that I started the business to do.
Now you got to eat your own dog food, right?
Exactly. and so my company is scaling, the virtual networking thing is scaling. So we're at that point now where I'm going to start bringing on full-time people and figure out how to pay them so that I can keep growing and keep this going and help people. So
Right. Well, that's your timing's good.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there'll be plenty of appetite, and obviously, you know more than a bit about how to help yourself scale. So it'll be an interesting challenge. You yourself will have to go. No, can't. Right, got to stay out of that particular piece of it.
Yeah, and that's been my biggest thing. It's like, do I really want other people touching these things? I'm like, no, I don't, but I need to, and I need to have these people doing this. So I'm not, and that is totally the biggest challenge for any entrepreneur is letting go of things. And trusting that it'll turn out okay.
Yeah, no, I would, as a fellow entrepreneur, I would agree. There's stuff that I know I will not turn loose of, and I know it puts a cap on some some dimensions of the business, and I hit a point where I'm like, okay, I would actually prefer to keep the responsibility because I like doing that, or because I think it's worth doing it the way I do it, or blah, 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 blah. But you got to look in the mirror when you have that conversation with yourself.
Well, and it's understanding, what is your vision for the company?
Yeah.
Initially people start with, my vision is I want to make X revenue, annual revenue, monthly recurring revenue, whatever it is. But is that really the vision for the company?
Yeah.
I look more, all right, so what am I able to do with it? And what is our output, and what is the impact we're having on our clients or on the world? And which is, if I can grow my Time on Target piece, where I can funnel that into Scale Success Champions networking more with my business partner / client, so we can help more people network more effectively. That's awesome. That's achieving the vision for the company.
Nice.
And do I need to have a 400-person agency to do that? No, I don't think so. And I'm pretty sure I don't want a 400-person agency.
I suspect you probably don't. Yeah.
So, there are people, Gary Vee likes it. That's not my thing though.
Yeah. And having worked at large companies and in a military, large organization, like it's a different thing. Like Dunbar's numbers, very realistic thing. Like, there's a ceiling where you go, geez, who are these people?
Yeah, totally. And for me, if I can do, 5 to 10 million in annual revenue with 10 to 15 people, perfect. That's going to be awesome, because that'll give me freedom to do what I need to do, and I can pay my employees really well, and I can then work on other stuff that has a big impact. So
nice, great thing. Well, if someone's hunting for your company, Kevin, they go to on target with dashes in between the words, right?
Correct. time-on-target.com.
We've got a dash in our domain and I'm used to it, but I see people fumble it and I'm like, sorry, all the other URLs were taken.
Exactly. I wanted the other one, but it's gone.
Yeah.
I get emailed about once a year. Would you like to buy this URL for $15,000? No,
no, thanks.
I don't. I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, good. Thanks. Well, cool. Well, let's wrap up. My guest has been Kevin Snow, founder of Time on Target. Kevin, pleasure speaking with you, and thanks for making the time.
Yeah, it was awesome. I had a great time, Matthew. I loved doing this. So.